Hi, everybody. My name is Yael Saffra, and together we are going to be learning about Makkat Arov. So my first question is, what is Arov? We all know that Arov is the fourth plague. In Mitzrayim, we have dam, tzfardeya, we have blood, we have frogs, we have kinim, which are lice, and then we have Arov. And it's very unclear what Arov actually is. If you look in various Haggadot or look in translations, you will get a different meaning of Arov every time. So, for example, the JPS translation of Arov is a swarm of insects. The Koran Bible is a swarm of gnats. The Mitsuda translation is that it's a swarm of wild animals. The Rashi Chumash by Rabbi Shraga Silverstein is a mixed multitude of wild animals, serpents, and scorpions. So the question is, what is Arov? Why is it so vague? How do these different interpretations come to be? And how does it impact the understanding of the plague? And that's what I would sort of like to unpack with you during the next few minutes. So if we go into Chazal, we are going to see, just as we did in the English translation, different interpretations of the word Arov. And I'd like to share some of them with you. According to Rabbi Nehemiah, Minei Tsirin v'Yitushin, they are gnats and mosquitoes. According to Rashi, Arov, Kol Minei Chayot Ra'ot, all sorts of wild animals, unechashim, snakes, ve'akrabim, scorpions. According to the Medrash Socher Tov, which is the Medrash on Tehillim, there are multiple opinions brought down. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Nishrita, according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's vultures. Rabbi Natan Omer Milemalan Arov Nirgazin Deot Ve'orvin Ve'ofot. A mixed multitude of birds, ravens and birds, angry birds, and milmata, and from down below, arayot unimerim uze'evim, lions and tigers and wolves, or as we like to say, lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, all we're missing right now is the bears. But know that the source for that is biblical. Rabbi Chama v'Rabbi Yoshua Omrim, min chayahu ushmo pantarin. It's a panther, and that an arov is not a combination of any sort of animal, but a singular animal known as a panther. Vehevio hakadosh baruch hu, and God specifically brought this animal to serve at its purpose in the Makkah of Arov. Rav Yoshia Amar he'eriv alehen et hameorot, that during the Makkah of Arov, the luminaries, the sun, the moon, the stars, were darkened. According to the Ibn Ezra, on the word Arov, chayot ra'ot me'uravot, it was a mixed multitude of wild animals, kimo arayot, lions, ze'evim, wolves, dubim, here's our bears, unimerim, tigers. According to the Rashbam, Ha'arov, Omer Ani, says the Rashbam, who is Rashi's grandson, Kimine ze'evimhem, it's wolves, shenikraim Arov. And according to Rav Sa'adi Gaon, the Arov is a nachash. So when it comes to interpretations, and one more, the Abarbanel, chayot, sheratzim, little animals that run on the ground, unechashim, and snakes, vitolaim, worms, harmful snakes and worms that are poisonous and can kill people. So there are many understandings of the word Arov, from snake to lions to ravens, wild animals, the tiger, the bear, the wolf. So really, what is Arov? And how did we where did these ideas, and they're so varied, where do these ideas come from? So the first thing that we have to do, which is what the Mefarshim do, is look at the shoresh, or the root of the word Arov. So let's do that together. Arov comes from the word irbuvia, or it's ha'arovet. It's a mixture. So we have different species or mixtures of species coming together. And that's the idea of the lions and the tigers, or the snakes and scorpions, that they are mixtures of animals, mixed multitudes. Another possibility is that not only are the animals and the species themselves mixing together, but, says the Medrash Rabbah, Mehechan ba'alehem, where did the Arov come from? Yeshomrim milamala, v'yeshomrim milamata. Some say that Arov came from up above, and some say that Arov came from down below. Rabbi Akiva omer milamala ulamata, and Rabbi Akiva says that Arov came from up above and down below. So this is a different idea than it being a combination or a mixed multitude of species. Rather, the species are mixing from where they emanate. You have the vultures from up above, or you have the ravens from up above, and you have the animals down below. So you have the heaven and the earth coming together, and you have species intermingling with each other. Possibly those two combined from the word irbuvia, right? It's what Rashi says on the tohu vavohu, right? What was the earth, the world like before God created it? It was an irbuvia, and God came along and separated everything and put everything into its natural and correct place. There are two places in the Torah where the word, well, there are actually many places in the Torah that also support the idea that Arov are wild animals, the lions and the tigers and the bears. Where does it come from? It's found in Devarim and it's found in Vayikra. But in order to first understand that, we need to look at the plague of Arov from the Torah. Okay, it's found in Shmot Perek Chet, Psukim Tet Zayin through Chav Vav. It's chapter 8 in the book of Shmot. And Hashem tells Moshe to go in the morning and stand before Paro and tell him, Ko amar Adonai shlach et ami. Thus says God, send out my nation so that they can serve me. Ki im eincha mishaleach, and if you do not send them out, or mishaleach is really for those who appreciate grammar, it's hifil. If you do not cause them to be sent out, Hineni mashlich becha ube'avadecha ube'amecha ubevatecha et ha'arov. I will cause Arov to be sent out onto you. If you do not send them out or cause them to be sent out, I am going to cause something to be sent to you, and that is the Arov. So now, where does Rashi get the idea? Or the commentaries that say that it's wild animals? Let's go back up above now. In Devarim, at the end of Devarim, when God is talking about exile, and in Sefer Vayikra, when God is talking about punishment, we have the following phrases. Mizei ra'av l'chumei reshet v'ketev miriri v'shen behemot ashalach bam. Wasting famine and ravaging plague, deadly pestilence, and fanged beasts will I let loose against you. What is being caused to be sent? You have the word ashalach. It is a milah mancha here. It is a guiding word. It is the fanged beasts that are being let loose. And that's the idea of the animals, of the lions and the tigers, even the wolves that are coming out of their habitats. They are the fanged beasts that are being sent out of their habitats to Paro. And the same for Vayikra, V'hishlachti bachem et chayat hasadeh. I am going to let loose or cause the animals to be sent against you. What Rashi does, what the commentaries who say that it is wild beasts, they're doing a gzeirah shava with the word ashaleach. It says ashaleach in Sefer Shmot. We have the ashaleach here in Sefer Devarim and Vayikra. The same animal must be being sent. And that's where the idea comes of the Arov being a multitude of mixed animals, wild beasts. For the Rashbam, who says that it is a wolf, where does the Rashbam get the idea that the Arov are Omer Ani Ze'evim, that it's wolves? There's a pasuk in Yirmiyahu, Perikei pasuk Vav, that says, Al Kain Hikam Aryeh Miya'ar Ze'ev Aravot, that they will be smote by the wolves of the Aravot. And the Rashbam notes that Aravot is very similar to the word Arov, and says Rashi on those words, what are Ze'ev Aravot? Lashon Arava, Ze'ev Hamidbar, that the animals will come out of their habitats. They are desert animals that will leave the desert and encroach upon society. That Ze'ev Aravot is Arov, and Arov is the animal that comes out of its habitat from where it usually lives and encroaches upon civilization or society. The Malbim, however, says that Ze'ev Aravot does not come from the word Arava, meaning desert or midbar, but rather Ze'ev Aravot, sheyotze al trefo ba'erev, that the animal will come and devour its prey in the evening. That when do the animals come and enjoy their prey? In the Erev, when it's cool out, when it's dark out, and not during the heat of the day, but that the animals wait until Erev. So that's where the Rashbam gets this idea that the Ze'evim come out at night from the word Erev. And where does the idea come from that Arov perhaps are ravens? Makkat Arov, he Makkat Orvim. Certainly the similarity in the words Arov and Orev really feel very connected, and that God is sending ravens or birds, that Alfred Hitchcock movie Birds, where the birds are swarming in, and it's terrible. It's horrifying when those birds attack, those savage birds. And what happens when there is a swarm of birds? Rav Yoshia Amar He'eriv Alehen et HaMe'orot, that the luminaries are covered. When the sky is filled with the birds, it's dark out. Light is limited, and the sunshine is blocked, which makes me wonder if Arov is somehow a foreshadowing for Makkat Choshech, the same way that Arbe also was a foreshadowing to Makkat Choshech. What do we do with the snakes and the scorpions? However, Rashi says another idea is that Nechashim ve'akrabim is Arov are snakes and scorpions. Rabbi David Foreman says something beautiful, that the Nechashim ve'akrabim take us back in time. It takes us back in time to the pit of Yosef. And in the pit of Yosef, what was Behabor Reik in Bomayim? What was the pit that his brothers threw him into filled with? It wasn't filled with water, but it was filled with Nechashim ve'akrabim. And the Arov, the snakes and the scorpions, are a message not just to the Egyptians about what they did to Bnei Israel, but it's a message to us that when we look what happens when we sell our brother, look what happens when we're not unified, look what happens to us when there is hatred and poor relations between Am Yisrael. Look what happens when a relationship between brothers goes sour. So there's some sort of message going on here that takes us back in time to the story of Yosef, that this is where it all began. The slavery began the moment that the brothers threw Yosef into the pit. That was when the slavery in Egypt began. Okay. And we also had this idea from Sadia Gaon that it's a nachash. If we say that Arov is a nachash, then this is a makkah that is specifically targeting Paro. And we see that in the text as well. If we go into the text, what does it tell us? What does the Arov do? It goes directly, Vayas Hashem Kain, he brings the Arov, Vayavo Arev Kaved, an intense Arov, goes Beta Paro, straight to Paro's house, Ubeit Avadav, first to Paro and then to his servants, and then Uvechol Eretz Mitzrayim. Paro is the Nachash. We all know that the headdress of ancient Egypt, right? You can picture it, is the snake. And if the Arov is a snake, there is a battle that is taking place here throughout all of the makkot of who is God. Egypt is a world of a polytheistic society. Egypt is a world where the king is God and is treated like God. When Moshe and Aaron go to Paro for the first time in Perek Hey, and they say, Ko amar Hashem Elokei Yisrael, shalach et ami, let my people go to celebrate me in the desert. What is Paro's response? Mi Hashem asher eshma b'kolo. Who is this God that I should listen to him? L'shalach et Yisrael, lo yadati et Hashem, v'gam et Yisrael lo ashaleach. And the question is, who is going to win this battle? This battle between the divine and the battle between the society where humans are worshipped and the king is considered a god. And then if the Arov is a Nachash and goes first to Paro, there is a strong message being sent to Paro that V'yadu Mitzrayim ki ani Hashem. The whole purpose, there's an educational purpose to the makkot, and it should be that there is a recognition of God. I'm going to share something beautiful with you that I found in the Yalkut Shimoni. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yavo'u arayot v'nechashim v'dubim v'yafriu mimitzrayim. Says God, I'm going to send lions and snakes and bears to Egypt. Shebikshu la'abed umah, because they wanted to wipe out a nation from its existence. Who are the lions and the tigers and the wolves? Look at this. Gur Aryeh Yehuda, Dan Gur Aryeh, Yehi Dan Nachash Alei Derech, Binyamin Ze'ev. When Yaakov blessed his children before he died, Yehuda was blessed to be like a lion, and Dan was blessed to be like a wolf, and Binyamin was blessed to be like a Ze'ev, and Naphtali is an Ayala, is a deer. I think that this midrash brings out something unbelievable. When faced with plague, when faced with uncertainty, when faced with a world that we no longer recognize, the answer lies within ourselves. We are capable of being the vehicles to bring about change. We are the ones who are strong enough to rise above and to look for solutions. We are the lions, and we are the tigers, and we are the wolves. Thank you so much for learning with me, and I wish everybody a healthy and a meaningful and a wonderful Chag.